Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, Savvylicious Arrangements. So here I am showing you that I'll be using the they call it the satin whip icing, or I believe that's what they call it. They call it satin whip icing, but it's known as the Buttercream. And I got it from my local supermarket because I didn't feel like making it this time. And here is this bucket of icing that I made, last night, just because I didn't want to have to make it the day of. So here I'm just showing you all of the things that I'll be using to get this cake done. And this cake was such a fun cake to do. Normally, I would have to get my mindset together and everything to do cakes, but for this cake it was a little different. I was super excited to get it done and do it just to see how far I can go with it. So here I'm just showing you that I'm putting my icing on my cake board so that my cake doesn't slide around. Usually my cakes are super moist, so I don't really have that problem, but just for extra security and support, I'm just going to do it the way that I see everybody else do it. Okay, so here I'm just taking my cakes. My cakes were super moist and super dense. I kind of made them a little too moist this time. But it was good. It was perfect. Nobody had any complaints or anything about it. They actually loved how moist it was. So here I'm just taking my cup and the satin icing, or the buttercream, whichever one you feel comfortable calling it. I normally call it buttercream. I meant buttercream. But I'm just taking that and I'm placing it into my piping bag, and I'm trying not to make a mess here, but it's just not working. So I am going to take my piping bag and I'm going to use this to fill my cakes. I just made it this way because the buttercream icing could be a little sweet, and my customer didn't want it to be extremely sweet. So I just put the filling of the whipped cream on the inside, just so that it's not extremely sweet with buttercream throughout the whole entire cake. So buttercream was on the outside of my cake, only just because to give it the extra support and the stiffness, and it holds up to its ability. Whip icing does not do that. It just doesn't. It doesn't do that. Now, mind you, I told you that I was a beginner at this caking thing. Okay, so when you see me make little mistakes and you see me struggling sometimes or trying to figure it out, don't bash me for it, because I'm still in the learning process and I'm self-taught learner. Okay, so I'm doing this to show all of my beginner bakers that it's okay to mess up. And I'm taking my icing, the one that I had made last night, and this is my stiff buttercream recipe. It's on my channel. If you haven't seen that video already, you can go ahead, or I'll link it below so that you guys can watch it. And it's amazing. It's really good. I actually want to do another simple icing video with 4 ingredients, and it gives you the same stability. So back to what I was saying, far as this is beginner caking learning classes or YouTube videos or whatever you want to call it. This is just how I work. I don't go according to pretty much the book or other YouTubers or whatever you want to call it. I do what's best for me and what makes my cakes look good and what works for my business, pretty much. If you have a certain way that you like to cake, then that's no problem. Everybody have their own way of doing things. But if it comes out the way that you like it and you're satisfied with it, your customer is satisfied with it, that's pretty much all that matters. So here I'm taking my piping bag with the stiff buttercream and I'm just filling in the gaps in between the cake layers, so that the cake can pretty much stay leveled. This is the only way that I will fill my cakes. I've said that in all of my previous videos when it comes to me doing cakes, only because this is what works for Savvylicious arrangements. Okay, if you like to take your spatula and place it into your icing and blop it onto your cake and take your turntable and everything and do your cakes like that, then that's all fine and dandy. You do not have to follow step by step of how I do my videos. I'm just here to show you that if I can do it, you can do it. Don't feel discouraged. Don't get down. Don't feel like you can't do it. Because if I can do it, and honey, if I can do it, I'm telling you, okay, I'm slow. If I can do it, you can do it. No, I'm just kidding. But on a real, if I can do it, you can do it. Don't let nobody discourage you. If you reach out to other people and they don't want to respond to your videos, I mean, not videos, but your comments, if you're asking for help and they're just like reading your stuff and not replying to it, they came from somewhere. They got help from somewhere. Okay. I'm always here to help. I don't have a problem with whatever it is you guys ask me, far as pricing, far as flavoring, far as recipe, far as whatever it is that you guys may need. I'm always here to help. If you need it, just leave it in the comments below and I'll try my best to get back to you within a reasonable time. So here I'm just filling up my piping bag again, so that I can go ahead and finish putting my crumb coat on. Normally I don't usually get crumb coats. My cakes are like super moist. You normally get crumbs when your cakes are like kind of dry a little bit. But my cakes are normally super moist and I usually don't get crumbs in my cake. So I'm just going around with the icing and the spatula, just to cover it up in the final coat. Now this is an 8-inch cake on a 9-inch cake board. It's a cake board. So I like to have 1 inch over my cake sponge, only because when it comes to icing it, it just makes it a lot easier for me. I was doing the same size cake board with the same size cake sponge, and I would just have the icing run over the cake board, but it just became too much and I started using a 1-inch cake board over my cake sponge. So, and then this will be a upside down method cake. I'll show you that in once we get deeper into the video. So here I'm just putting on my crumb coat and just filling in any spaces that I have, and then I'll go ahead and place this into the freezer so that it can chill for about 15 to 20 minutes. You don't want to leave it in there too longer than that, because depending on the temperature of your location or your house or wherever it is that you're doing your cakes, you'll have your cake will start to sweat and it'll be difficult to go ahead and put on your second coat. So I would just leave it in there for about 15 to 20 minutes just to firm it up. And then I will go ahead and apply my second coat, and then you can go ahead and leave the second coat in there a little longer than the first coat, just to make sure that it's nice and stable. So here I'm just taking my cake and I'm going to place it into the freezer. I know my crumb coat is not perfect at all because it's a crumb coat. I just wanted to seal the cake. And then I'll come back and show you. So here I have the cake board on top of the cake, and I'm going to turn this over the best way I can without dropping it. So here is where I kind of messed up. I'm trying my best to figure it out the best way I could. I wanted to place in the wax paper onto the cake drum, but because I didn't place enough wax paper, I kind of ran out. And I wanted my cake. See how I'm messing up? I'm just picking up the cake board at the bottom, showing you the cake and everything. So I just had some tape stuck to the bottom of the other cake board so that the cake board didn't slide while I was using the turntable. So I didn't have enough wax paper on the cake drum, so I kind of messed it up a little bit. I was disappointed, but I made it work. So here I'm just leveling my cake to make sure that it's level. And I'm going back in with my icing, and I'm going to fill the cake level with the cake board, so you won't have any cake running over your cake board. It'll just be your cake board and then your icing and your cake, if that makes sense. So this is what I mean by I have no icing outlining my cake board. My cake board is pretty much my guide to how much icing I'm going to be using. Normally you'll see other people have like an 8-inch cake board, and then they'll have like a 1/2 inch or inch of icing over the cake board, if I'm saying that right. But I just didn't want that. I didn't want that. I wanted my cake board, I wanted everything to be in sync with each other. So I'm just using the spatula to guide me, to get me the smooth buttercream. And if you have a lot of gaps and holes or whatever, you can go back in and fill them with your icing. And then at the end, you can always just run your spatula under some hot water, wipe it off, and run it across your cake just to give it that smooth, sharp look. So here the cake is back in the freezer. Oh no, it's not. I'm sorry. I took the cake out the freezer. So here I just made the cake board. I have a cake drum, and I printed out some pictures with skates on it because that was the theme, skate theme. And I'm just placing that onto my cake drum. And now I'm going to start decorating my cake. I am going to just seal the bottom up so that you don't see the cake board, and it looks like it's all in one together. And this is where I was saying that you want to go ahead and apply your second coat or whatever it is to your cake, because once you take it out of the refrigerator or freezer, it tends to sweat. And if you want to, make your cake seamless as far as the borderline, it was sliding a lot. It was sliding a lot. So, I had to keep going back in and, cleaning it up. So here I'm just going to clean up the extra icing that's on the cake board, the picture itself. I didn't want it to like leave any oil stains or anything, so I wound up just hurrying up cleaning it up with a wet paper, not wet, but a kind of damp paper towel. And if you would like to know how I made the design for the cake board, just leave it in the comments below and I'll be glad to let you know how I did it. So here I'm taking the Rocum food coloring. It's they call it limo food coloring. It's like a glow in the dark if you take like a black light and put it up to it. And I'm going to be applying this onto my cake. So here I'm taking paint brushes for each individual color and I'm just going to give it that splatter look effect. However you decide to splatter it onto your cake, that's just how you do it. There's no perfect way, just whatever that makes it look good to you. The pink was my favorite color on the cake. I'm not sure why. It's just because it was super vibrant. But I tried to do different little methods to give the splatter a different effect instead of just, throwing my hand up and down. There we go, see? So here I am just placing my cake topper onto the top of the cake, and I'm going to be moving the colors out the way so I can go ahead and finish decorating the cake. Here is a picture that I printed out from my local Staples, and I did the tape back method so that it doesn't transfer onto the picture. Instead of using a edible image, you won't get this same vibrant color look if you was to use an edible image. So here I am just taking my number 9 birthday number topper, and I am taking the sticks off of them, and I won't be using the sticks in this video because it's not going to go into the cake. I'm going to be just placing the number 9 onto the cake board with some hot glue. And you want to have to hold this for a little bit so that it can firm up. I have wound up placing some of the fake little diamonds that you can get from your local Michaels or art store onto the glue, also under the numbers so that it can stand up on its own also. So it helped it give it the stability to stand up on its own. So don't be afraid to use enough hot glue. The more the better, obviously. Just don't mess with it so that it doesn't turn white. And this is what it looks like. Here I am going to start placing some candy on top. These are 2 different size lollipops. These are 2 different size lollipops, and I'll have some cotton candy and smaller lollipops and, you know, gumballs and stuff like that. My camera wound up dying on me. So I had to like kind of hurry up and wait. So here's what it looks like once I got finished putting the candy on top. Now I'm just going in with some sprinkles just to make it a little bit more fun. The topper at the top with the picture is, you know, something that I made, of course. I'm still going in with sprinkles, yes. So now I'm just taking the fondant letters and I am placing that onto my cake board. I'm just placing it there to see what it looks like before I go ahead and stick them down permanently. And here is what the cake looks like. I wound up placing LED lights around the cake board just to make it more decorative and fun. If you would like to see how I achieve this look, please stay tuned for your next one or leave it down in the comments below. And thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys in my next one. Thank you so much. I love you guys. Bye.